Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So we're still filming the Flash episode 1 for that Comic-Con trailer, but we got confirmation on a couple new characters that are actually pretty cool, so let's do a breakdown. There's a new round of the Flash ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So it looks like they're almost done with week 1 on the Flash, so that's why you haven't seen Barry on set. There've been a couple set pics, Wally still wearing the yellow costume like we all believed. There was that video I did a couple days ago about costume upgrades. Yeah, Barry will get a few costume upgrades, but when people were asking Kid Flash about the red version of the costume, the quote that I read from the actor that plays Wally West was basically him saying that it's not quite on his radar yet. Really, the only reason he stopped wearing it in the comics was because he stopped being the Kid Flash and just became the Flash. They might be introducing a new character in this first episode, but there are still a couple more days to go. So when they announced the title was going to be The Flash Reborn, it was basically day 1 of 8, that was on the 4th of July, meaning they're going to be shooting to Wednesday. So if we actually do see Grant Gustin walking around on set, I'm not expecting it to happen till the middle of the week. Like, he might show up at the very end, and even if he does, it might be indoors. So just don't be surprised if you don't see Barry walking around in his costume. But because Comic-Con is a couple weeks away, we will see them filming episode 2 behind the scenes, so that would be a more likely place for Barry to pop up. The new character, this will actually get you guys a little crazy because they might be introducing Elongated Man or just a couple other comic book characters that show up at carnivals, because there's a big carnival set that they're filming on right now, and there have been a couple notable carnival stories in The Flash. The first one was during the Jay Garrick era, during Flash number 36, where you run into the Peter Merkel character. His power is that he just has like crazy contortionist abilities. He's a hypnotist, he's a really good thief. There's a small chance, very small chance, that they could be introducing the Elongated Man through the Baxam Brothers circus. During the Barry Allen era, back in the 80s, Flash Volume 296, Elongated Man gets captured by the Baxam Brothers circus, and there's a bunch of different members called Master Giro, Horcus, Scrunch, and Blubba. If they are going to use those characters, they would probably change Blubba just because her superpower is being super fat. And I could already hear people complaining about that. But what happens is they're a circus team with relatively sleight of hand abilities, like they can hypnotize people. They capture Ralph Dimby as misdirection so that they can steal interferon to help their friend. So first they seem pretty sinister, like they're stealing interferon, but you're like, why are they stealing medicine from all these different labs? So while the Flash is trying to rescue Elongated Man, find out where he's being held, they grab a big score in Central City from a lab. Then the Flash finds Ralph Dimby, Elongated Man, who's been hypnotized to think that he's actually part of the carnival, and he's like a contortionist all wrapped up into a pretzel. So they team up, and it becomes this really funny way of using the Elongated Man's powers. Flash uses his Cyclone ability to turn Elongated Man into a projectile. They take down the criminals, but then they find out that they had been stealing all this medicine to help their friend. The Baxam Brothers are able to help their friend. He stops looking like the Elephant Man. He comes out looking normal, and everybody's happy. Remember back at the beginning of Season 2, they opened with that big celebration, Flash Day. It was kind of a carnival of sorts.
The Flash!
They try to open the season on really happy moments. They don't want to open it on a bummer because you got 22 more episodes, so they want people to be really pumped up about the rest of the season. But just like they introduce villains every season, they introduce good characters, so don't be surprised if they cycle Julian out for Elongated Man in. But none of that's confirmed, it's just speculation based on the scenes that it looks like they're filming. So we'll find out about that at Comic-Con anyway, and we might actually see an Elongated Man running around on set, so just keep your eyes peeled. There have also been really weird pictures of samurai on set, so there's actually a big crossover story called The Flying Samurai, where the Flash and Iris West go to Japan and they face Baron Katana, who has a bunch of robot samurai. So this might be unrelated to the carnival stuff that's happening, so it looks like they're going to be showing a bunch of different adventures that Wally has had while Barry has been gone, because you see Cisco helping him out here. So don't be surprised if the episode jumps around in time a lot. There's been a little bit of video from the set via Themyscira Bound, just a Twitter user that I think was camping the set along with YVR shoots, sort of like your typical Vancouver set people that just capture a lot of this stuff. So here's that video. This looks like it has more to do with them fighting the robot samurai than with them fighting the carnival people, but it'll be interesting to see how those stories cross over or if they take place during different time periods. Well, let me know in the comments, what do you think The Flash is doing with the carnival? Do you think they're actually going to do this elongated man crossover story and it'll be like Wally's story even though it was from the Barry Allen era? And then much later after that adventure, the Flash is reborn. Because it sounds like what's going to happen for most of episode 1 is that Wally's going to be the Flash. There's this picture of him with Vibe on the set. So they're taking down whatever criminals are going down. Iris and Wally seems like they're back to being the Flashpoint brother-sister crime-fighting team. So we know that they're around. We know that Caitlin is around for the entire episode. So it'll be interesting to see if she's come back to Team Flash or if she's still working on her own. Because there are a couple ways I think they could introduce her using this elongated man story that don't require her to be in Star Labs. But the other big news is the show just hired a new writer who's a big comic book person. So if you've never heard of him, Sterling Gates has written Superman, Justice League, the Vibe comic book for a long time. He actually took over the Vibe comic book from Andrew Kreisberg, who's the showrunner on The Flash. He also wrote the Mr. Mitsits Pitlick episode of Supergirl, so it's just fun to see comic book writers come and write The Flash and the other TV shows. But they actually did cycle out one of their showrunners, so if you didn't like the way they wrote The Flash last season, they've actually had some creative changes behind the scenes, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like this season, because it does seem like it's going to be more rogue-heavy, especially given that the Thinker's such a big character. What'll happen is Stephen Amell was teasing a bunch of stuff for Arrow Season 6. He confirmed Deathstroke is going to be a huge character and show up a bunch of times. So I'll do a video for the teaser that he dropped. That'll post in a couple hours, but leave all your requests in the comments below. Congratulations to Charles Walker, you're the latest giveaway winner. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. While you wait for everything, click here for brand new Flash episode 1, and you can click here for a new Game of Thrones trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.